What other people see in me? It's got to that point of summer where the sun is setting much earlier. I'm starting to feel ready for bed earlier than usual, and I keep getting into bed and then being shocked by what the time is. So I really want to embrace the cozy vibes today. I just feel like I need cozy autumnal comforts. So I was thinking, in my favourite way to celebrate coziness is through food. So let's make some dinner together and a pudding. I want a warm pudding. I was going to make a lemon drizzle cake, but I don't want to wait for it to cool down, and I don't want to eat anything cold. I want warm and cozy. I want to snuggle under a blanket with a cup of tea. I love lentil dahl, and it's really so good for you. You can also add spinach and different greens into it and have things on the side. So it is really amazing for such a comforting meal. It's very healthy. I've realised that coconut milk in a tin has a lot of stabilisers and stuff in it. It's not just natural coconut milk most of the time. So I bought cream coconut in a block. You can also sometimes get it in a carton, and you don't have to activate it with boiling water. For this recipe I used a lot of red onion, and I kind of made it like the star of the show because I didn't have spinach, for example, to add in. But first you want to cook your red onion off, and also I use garlic and ginger. The ginger I just take straight from the freezer, it's already chopped. I would say that the ginger does add a lovely flavour. You can play around a lot with your seasonings. I add smoked paprika and turmeric and salt, pepper, chicken stock, cumin, chili flakes. One tip I'll give you is you probably want to do this at the beginning when you activate the spices with the heat, and then you want to add some of the spices again at the end, but just use your mouth to guide you there. Just taste it and see what you think it needs more of, because typically adding lots of water in and adding a chicken stock cube, some of the flavour does disappear. One of my favourite hacks for a lentil dahl is to add either butternut squash or a sweet potato into the mixture. It's just an extra way of getting good food in there, and it really adds to the sweetness and the deliciousness of the recipe. The absolute key seasoning that I didn't have is garam masala, so I kind of made up for it with other things. But I would just Google a recipe and see what people are using and what you have in your cupboards. I do feel like if you have enough seasonings, you don't need garam masala. It's not something I have in the cupboard, but it is something I probably will invest in. We had this with rice, but I also like to have it with a flatbread or a naan bread sometimes instead of rice. You can also top it with things like yogurt or cream. I love adding coriander, but we only had parsley. This is also amazing with small tomatoes cut in half, scattered all over the top. You could also add pomegranate seeds for a bit of flavour. That would be lovely in the summer. And I do add nuts and lemon juice. I wouldn't say that the nuts are essential. It's purely just for health reasons that I like to get nuts and seeds into my dinners wherever I can. This is pomegranate molasses that I'm topping it with, purely because I didn't have any tomato and I like that sweetness on top. We had to go on a beautiful autumnal walk after this because this is such a filling meal for something that's healthy. I always feel really, it's so comforting, like a hug in a bowl, but you'll be very full up afterwards. little lighthouse is one of my favourite things I own in the whole house. I love the little ceramic houses and it looks like the windows have lit up. I think it's the cosiest thing ever. I'm starting to get some of my more autumnal bits out. They're usually out all of the year anyway, but I'm making them more centre stage, and a nice little ritual is to pop them on before bed. I'm just having a look for some more candlesticks and holders and things, because I just feel like I want more lighting in the house that's pretty and low. Dear darlings, it's recipe time, and this was made up because I couldn't find what I was looking for online. I used 175 grams of sugar, butter, flour, 4 eggs, a little bit of salt in the flour, a little bit of baking soda or whatever it is. I don't even know what I actually used. It was purely experimental. I did cream together the sugar and the butter first, and then I added in the eggs one at a time. But what I quite like to do is add a bit of egg and flour, whisk it and do that like 3 or 4 times just to get a really airy light sponge. When I cooked this recipe, I didn't put a timer on. I just purely went by when it was ready by sticking a knife into it every 10 minutes when it got past the 30-minute stage. I'm struggling a little bit with how I should be giving you these recipes. I don't know whether I should have like a Substack, whether I should have a newsletter. I just think it's probably unrealistic that I'm going to be able to keep on top of it, so I want to do it in a way that is easy for me and easy for you. If anyone has suggestions, let me know. But yeah, at the moment it's not something I think I have time for, but obviously it's quite an important part of my channel and I do want to be able to share it. Any suggestions would be very welcome. I could like do one video next week and try and catch up a little bit with myself so I do have more time to prepare, but I just love uploading twice a week so much. So yeah, any recommendations for that, do let me know. If you have a favourite creator that's doing it in a certain way and you think it's great, if you've had a certain creator do it in another way and you thought that's really annoying, let me know. I used good old-fashioned carnation caramel straight out of the tin and lined the bottom of the loaf tin with it. I added some bananas into the caramel. I think I would do a little bit more. I do find this pudding quite sweet, and I do prefer a pudding that isn't overly sweet, which sounds silly, but I think some of you will know what I mean by that. So maybe more bananas and less caramel would be quite nice. Or if you're not that fussed about caramel, you could probably miss it out altogether and have a stewed banana sauce. I haven't actually got a recipe for that or any idea what that would look like though. Also, you don't need to dollop the caramel on the top. I just wanted to give it a go. I love testing out recipes and I've never been confident enough with my baking to do this, but this turned out really well for something that I made up myself. Just before I start talking, I wanted to remind everyone about the playlist that I made on my channel of everyone's top 5 favourite songs. If you didn't put yours in the comments and you want to, feel free to add it on this video or any video and I'll add it. Since the heat wave, this is going to be not a particularly interesting conversation potentially for any men that watch me, but maybe it is, I don't know. Since the heat wave, it made my period late, and I heard lots and lots of women having the same experience. This was about 2 months, maybe a month and a half ago, I don't know. I just don't exactly know when to expect it. So my emotions feel out of whack because I don't actually know at what point of my cycle I'm in. I know it should be happening sometime soon, but I have like an app where you just submit the dates you have it, so you know when it will be the next month, and for about a week and a half it's just said might be today, might be today, might be today. So I had a terrible sleep last night. I feel like I look like an alien. I wanted to have a chat because I think it could potentially be my hormones, I'm not really sure. This was a really strange thing for me. So I don't know if you'll be able to tell from some of my other videos if you've watched a few. I am self-aware and I'm quite in touch with my body, and if something very slightly changes, I typically notice very quickly. So yeah, I do notice subtle changes, and I had this massive realization that I struggle to put into words because it's so subconscious. And I know that I have a couple of therapists in the comments who this might be something you could shed some light on for me. I think I understand some of it, when people compliment me, it doesn't go in here. It doesn't penetrate my brain. When I hear a compliment that's directed at me about me, my brain subconsciously rejects it, but not in a way where I don't believe it, in a way where it just doesn't go in. And I didn't realise it until the other day. Somebody really kindly left me a €5.99 and they said that my videos, that they enjoy my videos and that it's just a thank you. And it makes me want to cry when I read that comment. Like, it's so lovely. But when I read the comment, my first thought was, what a lovely person, what a generous and kind person. I'm so lucky that people are so kind to me and like so generous like that. But not for one moment did my brain really register the fact that they felt they wanted to do that because of my videos or because of something I've done. I said it to a few people. I said it to my dad, I said it to my mum, I told Ollie, and I just said, how nice is that? How generous is that? And then I stopped myself for a minute and I thought, I wasn't deeping it enough, I guess. And I went back to read the comment because I thought, I feel like my brain is like right over these things, that because people's reactions make me realise, like, I don't know, they're like, oh, that's such a nice thing, they must really love your videos. And then I was like, I don't, even when someone's saying it to me, I don't think of it like that. So when I read the comment back, that was the second time, that was when I really tried to absorb the fact that the gift for me, which thank you so much, by the way, like, so unbelievably lovely of you, that I had a part in being given that because of something that I'd done. That sounds ridiculously basic, but my brain was rejecting anything. I've had people even in person who would like compliment the way that I like my outfit or something. So it's not like something that happens all the time. And there have been times where someone's complimented me on my outfit, I've looked them in the face and then I've just looked away and not acknowledged them saying it to me. And I felt myself do it, but I have no reaction to that person complimenting me like that. I don't see it as it's about me, which is really weird. And I was trying to understand where it comes from, because I get so many lovely comments from so many of you being so kind. And I have a friend called Jasmine who creates lots of art, and she said some really lovely things to me. And one thing, one conversation we had, she was so, the thing she said was so lovely, and I was so taken aback that I actually wrote it down in my diary, journal, notepad, whatever, because I wanted to savour it and I never wanted to forget what she'd said. But that's probably one of the only nice things that I've actually allowed myself to believe that someone else has told me in months and months and months. And I had a conversation with Ollie about this realisation, because even trying, when I was having this conversation with my friend Jasmine, even trying to explain to her, because we'd both talked in the past about how we struggle to accept compliments, trying to explain that, even then I could feel my brain trying to override the thought process of me acknowledging it, which feels quite like a quite deep-rooted subconscious thing. It just left me feeling a bit annoyed. Well, if I'm being like honest and vulnerable and just straight up, it's left me feeling a bit annoyed with myself. Like, I feel that I hold myself back a lot and that I don't maybe want to see what other people see in me. It's like I don't want to see it. And I don't feel like I lack confidence in the way that I don't have low self-esteem. But I think that having low self-esteem and lacking in confidence are very different things. You can have someone who is very confident but has low self-esteem. Oh yeah, so I feel like, because I have had low self-esteem in the past, and I worked very, very, very hard to build it up and to understand where it came from, to undo and unlearn anything that I believed about myself, and I did great work on that, like I can say that confidently. Some of it comes down to, I don't like the idea of this person's better than this person because they do this, this and this. So when it comes to like achievements, I try not to focus too much on anything that I think could lean into ego, I guess. Like, I don't like to be egotistical because I'm really wary of being like, I'm better than them because I can do this. Observing people that use other people, and I'm sure I've done it I'm sure I used to do it, like either slagging someone off who didn't deserve it, or looking down at someone for doing things that I wouldn't do. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure I do that or have done that multiple times. Where I've actively tried not to do that, I think I've removed my ability to know where to celebrate achievements, celebrate strengths. My gratitude for people and the things around me, I remove myself from the equation, and I'm grateful for its existence, but I don't think about my part in its existence. Morally, probably a bit judgmental, because I'm just being honest now. I try not to be judgmental of, this person does this for a job, this person is this age and can't do this and can't do that. I really don't like the societal standards that we put on people that don't consider their circumstances. Like, where my brain has been so anxious, been anxious for such a long time, and it's almost been my default. Maybe anxiety has a really large part to play. I think one thing I tend to do a lot is, instead of focusing on a balance of, I would like to be able to do this, or I would like to do more of this, I'm doing a lot of this, I'm doing this well. There's no balance with that. I'm not looking at what I'm doing. I'm completely, if I'm thinking about it, focused on what I can't do. Like driving anxiety, for example. When I passed my test a few years ago, my car had sat on the drive. It was really old and it wasn't very good. It was quite bad, and everyone that drove it hated it. Experienced drivers didn't enjoy driving it, and I was really put off. And instead of seeing that as the car wasn't very good and was no reflection of my driving, I saw it as, now I'm fearful of driving, I'm scared of driving, and any driving is something that fills me with dread, which isn't a reflection of my skills. If I were to have turned that around and thought, no, Imogen, you can do that, you did very well on your test, you did well in your driving lessons, you are a good driver, you're capable, you can do it. If I'd have been doing that kind of self-talk, then I don't think we'd be at the point 2 years and I haven't driven. And I don't have my own car, but now Ollie has a car that I could drive, and I'm finding excuses for why I don't want to. And it's a complete lack of confidence in that respect. So where my self-esteem is okay, I do think my confidence is lacking in the things I'm capable of, because I spend so much more time focusing on, I'm not driving, I'm not independent enough. I'd be anxious going on a flight on my own. I'd be anxious going and doing this and that, and other people can do it. So I won't hold other people to societal standards, but I'll hold myself to them almost. So anyway, I feel like I've spoken enough, and I'll probably get like an AI overview of my video after this, and it will say, don't do long talking segments in the middle of the video because it's not engaging for people. But yeah, I just thought I don't really have any conclusion. There's no conclusion to that, apart from the fact that my anxiety definitely holds me back, and my anxiety is probably my inner voice that tells me, instead of celebrating, you're doing this, this and this, and that just being a positive celebration and self-reflection, it's the opposite. This is what you don't do, and other people can do this and this. It's not like any one person that I look at and think that, but I just think, you're not as capable as other people because of that one thing that you're not confident in, instead of saying, let's get you confident about doing that thing. A lack of support for myself, I guess, which makes me kind of sad. But we all have negative self-talk and inner voices that we're not like entirely conscious or aware of all the time. I've said a few times, oh, I'm gonna get therapy, and I just never do it. But I think I probably could do with unlearning the anxiety around like what I'm capable of and the things I can't do. I would love to start working through the list of things I can't do, because I know I can do them. And my anxious voice that thinks it's keeping me safe is actually keeping me as a version of myself. There's more I could do, I could grow, and there's things that would make me feel really good, and I'm kind of scared of them. And anxiety tells me I should be, and there's not really evidence to back it up. Of course you could have this pudding with warm cream, but because we were having uncooked bananas with it, I wanted to have 2 cold elements. But what you could do is stew bananas with cinnamon. You can do that in the microwave actually, by just popping them in there 30 seconds at a time, squidging them together and creating like a banana cinnamon puree almost. So that's another option. I think I'm going to develop this recipe. I'm going to try it without the caramel and with chocolate inside. And yeah, this is like a twist on a banoffee, but I really could not find any single recipe that was giving me what I wanted. So this was just a complete give it a go kind of recipe, completely made up, and I think it's such a basic concept that you could really change it to suit yourself. And I do think cinnamon, if you like it, would be a nice addition. The sponge itself was really airy and fluffy as well. I used like 175 grams of flour, sugar, butter, and then 4 eggs. So that was a pretty basic sponge recipe. But again, if you have a sponge recipe that you trust, then I would just use that one.
Its force isn't so much bigger than us.
We just took a breath and looked down, and I never forgot until I was hooked.